This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
The views conveyed by the guests on this program do not necessarily represent the views of the host or owners of the Doggy Diva Show and do not necessarily constitute endorsement of products. Medical information shared by the guests on this program are those of the guests and are for informational purposes only. They should not replace the medical advice of your veterinarian.
Hi, this is Susan Marie from the Doggy Diva Show. This episode features best-selling author Margaret Mizushima, who premieres the latest release in her award-winning series, Timber Creek K-9 Mysteries. That's what's on our show, so let's get started.
Come here, babies. It's time for a treat, the Doggy Diva Show. Here's national award-winning author and animal advocate, Susan Marie.
Hi, welcome to the Doggy Diva Show, the show for animal lovers. I'm your host, Susan Marie, and as always, I'm joined by my K-9 co-hosts, the Doggy Divas themselves. Thank you for joining us today as we bring you the experts in the pet and animal world right to you. Contact us at thedoggydiva.com. That's the DOGGYDIVA.com. We love hearing from you, so go grab a cup of coffee and your pet's favorite treat, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms. And our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Doggy Diva Show. Margaret Mizushima is the author of the award-winning and internationally published Timber Creek K-9 Mysteries. Margaret served as the president of the Rocky Mountain chapter of Mystery Writers of America and was elected 2019 Writer of the Year by the Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers. Margaret is also a member of the Sisters in Crime, Northern Colorado Writers, and Women Writing the West. Her 8 previous books in the award-winning Timber Creek K-9 Mystery Series took place in the majestic mountains of Colorado. But the newest installment in this series takes place in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, where she now resides. And so with us today to tell us about her latest in Gathering Mist is author Margaret Mizushima. Welcome back to the show, Margaret.
Oh, thank you. It's so good to be back. It's so great to visit with you.
Same here. It's such an honor to have you back with us and introduce your latest release in the Timber Creek K-9 Mystery Series, Gathering Mist, with our listeners.
It's wonderful to be able to do that. Gathering Mist is the 9th book, as I believe you said. It is set on the Olympic Peninsula of Washington State. This is where my husband and I moved after 40-some years in northern Colorado. And once I got here, everything is so beautiful. It's so green. It's so wet compared to Colorado. The trees are so huge in the ancient growth forests. And I just decided I had to set a book here. So Maddie and Robo are called to the Olympic Peninsula to go on a search and rescue mission for a celebrity's missing child. And that is the premise of the book.
Well, and it was quite a book, I'll tell you that. For some of our first-time listeners, you have a very interesting and diverse background. And also, as I shared, you have a tremendous writing history. Can you maybe share that with our listeners?
Well, yes, thank you. It's I was a speech pathologist for 24 years before I retired and started working part-time for my husband, who is a veterinarian. And I didn't really work in his clinic. I was doing more of the business management and bookkeeping side. But in the 42 years that we were married before he retired, I often covered after hours and acted as his assistant whenever he had an emergency call. So because of that background and experience, that was really the first character that came to me when I decided I wanted to write a mystery. And that character is Dr. Cole Walker, who's a veterinarian in a rural clinic similar to what ours was. And then I decided, okay, I think we need for these books to be police procedurals rather than amateur sleuth books. The next character that came to me was Maddie Cobb. In this book, she has changed her name, but we can kind of talk about that a little bit later. But Maddie Cobb came to me, and I decided she needed to be a K-9 handler so that Cole could be brought into the triad of crime-solving characters for this series. And Maddie handles a German Shepherd named Robo, and he's a dual-purpose dog, cross-trained in patrol and narcotics detection. And they all solve crimes together in their small mountain community of Timber Creek, Colorado. It is fictional, by the way, so you won't find it on any map.
That was so beautiful. We'd like to. So I myself, and I'm sure many of the listeners have followed Maddie and her K-9 partner Robo through, you've had 8 prior releases, and I believe the first one's Standing Dead.
The first one is Killing Trail.
Killing Trail, that's it, yeah.
Yes, the first one is Killing Trail, and the last one was Standing Dead. It was set in the beetle-killed forest of
right.
Colorado. And so now with Gathering Mist, I have these huge ancient trees covered with moss, and all of the deadfall is covered with moss. It's a rainforest, really, on the western side of the Olympic Peninsula.
And we'll get into that in a minute, because as you did in Colorado in your newest book, I mean, you could literally feel the lushness, and it was very different than Colorado with its beautiful mountains and the forest there. So, but I just wanted to ask you, what was your inspiration for Maddie and also Robo? And can you just tell us, because they have this tremendous bond of trust together, can you just share a little bit about their characters, like both professionally as they work professionally? She's a deputy and he is a K-9, her K-9 partner, and also personally, because there's also a tremendous bond between Maddie and Robo.
When I first decided to create Maddie, I decided to give her a lot of baggage. She had a pretty traumatic childhood, part of which she was raised in foster care, and she didn't trust anyone. And in fact, in Killing Trail, that's brought up on page 1. She really didn't know what trust would feel like with her new partner. And of course, her new partner is a dog. I really have watched in my work as a speech therapist, as well as in our work in the veterinary clinic, the animal-human bond and its importance with people, and especially in healing. There are some jurisdictions that are even bringing in animal advocates to work with victims so that they can help calm them, soothe them, things like that. So I decided that I really wanted Maddie to eventually create this bond with her new partner, which she has really by book 2. They're newly paired K-9 team in Killing Trail. And then in book 2, Stalking Ground, they kind of come into their own. So yes, that was really my inspiration behind those 2 characters. However, I met a woman who was a retired K-9 handler as I was researching the series and getting ready to start the first book. And she had a K-9 partner named Robo, who was a huge German Shepherd that she had done a lot of training with. And he was really quite good at all of his skill set, remarkably so. And so I decided I kind of wanted to create a wonder dog, like the stories that this retired K-9 handler told me about her dog. her dog happened to be named Robo. And so I asked her permission to use Robo's name for my character, and she said that would be great. So,
and what a character Robo is. Love Robo. Love Maddie, too. And throughout the series, Maddie works, as we said, she works closely with Cole, who's the veterinarian in their town. But a relationship, it was a professional relationship, and it's kind of evolved. And as it's grown, how does that affect, or how does that, I guess, play a key element in the storyline?
The books actually take place in Timber Creek time over a period of about 1.5 to 2 years. Whereas, of course, since we're publishing about one book a year, in real time, it seems like it's taken forever for me to bring these two characters together. But in Killing Trail, book number 1, Cole is newly divorced, and he is on a learning curve that is very steep, trying to learn how to be a single parent to his 2 daughters. And Maddie, in book 1, has always wanted a family. And in fact, she has stayed in Timber Creek hoping that her mother, who abandoned her when she was 6 years old, would return to the community and find her. So these two happen to really have some chemistry between them that kind of starts up around book 2. But they both have lots of things they're working through. And so I have just gradually brought the two of them together. And I hope that readers who have followed the series will be thrilled by the last chapter in Gathering Mist, when a very special event takes place in these two characters' lives.
I did love that. And having been a fan and reading through all of your books and kind of like I feel like I know them, it was great. So readers, when you read the book, you're going to be very, very happy. But I wanted to ask you, because we talked about Maddie and her name. So could you just explain, because she was Maddie Cobb and now she's Maddie Ray.
That's right. She recently changed her name, actually, I think at the end of Striking Range, which was the 7th book in the series. She gets her new name tag. She finds out that she has had a lot happen to her in her childhood that were repressed memories. And so as this has come out, she finally does meet some biological family who tell her about her own bio family. And she's able to, at that point, she decides to go back and change her name to her real name that she was given at birth. So that was kind of interesting how that came about, because it certainly was not planned to come about in book 1. It evolved through the years as I wrote each book, and I started filling in her backstory. And so I'm so glad we didn't call this the Maddie Cobb Mysteries. Instead, they're called the Timber Creek K-9 Mysteries. And so it was okay for me to go ahead and change her name, because people who have read the series would understand exactly why she wouldn't want to continue to have the name Cobb, because it was there are some pretty bad people that have that last name, and they are not blood relatives. So she changes her name, and then, of course, there's going to be another name change in the road. So we're pretty happy about that.
A happy one. As we talked about earlier, the first 8 books were set in Timber Creek, and you describe, and I think every time we've spoken, I always say that you bring the reader into the amazing interior of Colorado with its beauty. Sometimes in some of the books, it was like a different, but I mean, you atmospherically, you bring us right in. So those all took place in Colorado, and then Gathering Mist takes place in the beautiful Pacific Northwest and Washington Olympic Peninsula. Can you tell us, again, you drew us into the scenic description because being in Gathering Mist, you really felt the mist. Can you tell us the reason for you having Maddie and Robo travel there for this, what turned out to be a very, very important search and rescue mission for the both of them.
It's so funny, but the first inspiration for doing that was a cover design for Standing Dead. Standing Dead, like I mentioned, was set in the beetle-killed forest, where the trees are dead, but they're left standing. And we ended up with a cover design that was sent to us for approval of mossy green trees that have quite a bit of fallen timber that is also mossy. And it was like, oh, no, this one doesn't fit, but it's lovely. I loved the picture. I loved the cover that was designed, and I saved it, and I kind of used it as my inspiration. And I thought, so I love being here in these forests with the great, huge, tall trees and the Douglas fir that just smell amazing at night. So I thought, well, maybe Maddie should just come out. And I don't think readers want her to move here, but hopefully they'll enjoy the new setting and the comparisons to Washington State and Colorado. It's so funny because as people drive down the highway, it's very hard to see the mountains in this state because the trees are so thick. So you really can't see the mountains for the trees. But as a mystery writer, I look out on those forests and I think, oh my, you could hide bodies out there and nobody'd ever find them.
No, and walking through there with them, I was exhausted.
It's expansive. You don't have a path. If you don't have a path, it's really, I don't know of anybody who does, who roughs it through the forest. I'm sure there are people who do that, but I'm kind of in an older friendship group. And so none of the new friends I've made do that kind of hiking, but it's amazing how thick it is.
Well, and of course, this book was a thriller, as they all are. This was particularly very fast paced, and I'm sure the reader, as I did, wouldn't be able to put it down. But can you tell us the importance of what Maddie and Robo's, her knowledge and his tracking skills, how important it was for this specific mission, and also Cole ultimately joins them because there's some kind of sinister stuff going on that's affecting the dogs, the K-9 partners of some of the other people that are there working with Maddie and Robo, where they become mysteriously ill. I don't want to give away any secrets, but how did that all come together? And can you tell us just a little bit about this situation? I found that intriguing because it came in on top of everything else, and then it turns out to be kind of like a big part of it.
Right. Funny how that happens.
I know, caught me by surprise. I always think, oh, I know. My Nancy Drew skills come out, and I go, oh, I know. And then
The reason that Maddie and Cole Maddie and Robo are actually brought to the Olympic Peninsula is because Robo has a special skill of air scenting people when he's searching for people. I had some training in search and rescue handling of dogs, I'm going to say almost 40 years ago. And it was amazing to watch the way that different dogs track and air scent. And one of our dogs was very good at tracking on the ground. She could follow the trail. But we had another dog who did both. And she could just lift up her head, find the person, go directly to it, to the person, rather than going with her nose on the ground, following in the footsteps of the person. So they're two very different skills. Some dogs can air scent, some dogs can't. It's like the dogs who are bird hunting. They are out there air scenting. So they're tasting all of the different odors that come on the air rather than trying to track these birds on the ground. So that's what it's similar to. So Maddie gets called out by Sergeant Jim Madsen, who has a regional search and rescue program where he can go into communities that need air scenting dogs and that need human remains detection dogs. And so Maddie goes out with Sergeant Madsen as well as another handler, and they each have a dog. So there are 3 dogs that go from Colorado to Washington State. This child is thought to have wandered off from a movie set. And so their first mission is to search the area all around this movie set to see if this child has fallen, if he, has hurt himself. And even because one of the dogs is a human remains detection dog, even to see if he has died out there and they can find him. So they're searching around that area. And then, like you said, they end up with one of the dogs becoming very ill. And Cole, when he hears about it, he suspects that it's poison. The dog had a seizure, and they're working the dog up for a seizure disorder, but he suspects it's poison. And he ends up coming out because he's worried about Robo and Maddie and the dangers they might be facing. Now, that particular poison that I use in this book was something I learned about a couple of different writers' workshops that were specifically on poisons for mystery writers or people who write crime fiction. But also, my husband has had a little bit of experience with that particular poison, too. So it was great because I could pull in some knowledge that Cole had about it so that it actually helped in the investigation. I'm always trying to find things that Cole can figure out, things that Robo can figure out, and things that Maddie can figure out to solve these crimes. And so that's kind of how that came about.
Well, it all played out beautifully. And, Gathering Mist, it's a thriller. It's full of mystery, suspense. You never know what's going to come up next. You can't really put the book down because you want to know what's coming up next. You meshed it all together so that when it blended, it was, when you come to the end of it, it's very, very good. But there's another part of the ending, which I think it was a very happy ending that I know it brought a smile to my face and did my heart good. And I think that I know it will bring a smile to the readers also out there. I don't want to give away any secrets, but it's a very nice ending. So,
good.
It like wrapped it up with a bow. It was perfect. But let's take a quick break. We will be back in just a moment.
Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. cattreetray.com.
Hello, everyone. Susan Marie here to tell you about the award-winning 3-book series, The Doggy Diva Diaries. It is a trilogy of heartwarming and inspirational stories about Miss Olive, a lonely little rescue pup, hoping to find her forever family and friends and a life filled with love. In this series, Miss Olive learns that it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside, it's the kindness and love you have on the inside that counts. Available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other online booksellers. And please visit us at thedoggydiva.com for more information. Thank you, everyone. Welcome back, everyone, to the Doggy Diva Show. With us today to tell us about her latest in Gathering Mist is author Margaret Mizushima. But can you share with us, Margaret, if there's another installment that we can look forward to in the Timber Creek K-9 Mystery Series?
Yes.
And like any hints on what we could expect to read about?
Yes, there are going to be at least 2 more books. I have 2 more books under contract. Oh, thank you. It's a great celebration. Book 10 is set back in Colorado. The theme of that book is money. And there's all kinds of subplots that involve money or greed or murder. So hopefully people will like that. It's really the first time I've based a book on money. And I really enjoyed researching it because there's some banking hanky-panky that's taking place too. I have a couple of friends that work in the banking industry.
Oh, that should be interesting. You're really good at having plots, subplots, like everything kind of ties in, but you almost don't know it's tying in until it's all tied in. In this book, it was the poison, and there were a couple of other things that once you get to the end, you go, and it like ties everything in, and it's all very satisfying. It's a very satisfying mystery read. So I can't wait to read book 10 because this sounds like it's really interesting with a bunch of little subplot, everything coming together there.
Well, thank you. It won't come out until fall of 2025, but I'd love to share a copy with you.
Oh, I would love it. You know me. We when Olive was alive, her and I'd sit in our big reading chair and read your books. We loved them, and I love them. I read them myself, but I love them. I'm a total mystery buff. I love all mysteries and all genres. And these with your books, it's a guarantee that I could get through really quickly and feel really satisfied when I finish the book. So for all of you readers out there or listeners that are looking for a really good book, this Gathering Mist or any of Margaret's in the Timber Creek K-9 Mystery Series is very, very satisfying to the mystery buff, to the Nancy Drews out there, all of us. So, Margaret, where can the listeners go to learn more about you, more about your latest release, Gathering Mist, and the remainder of the Timber Creek K-9 Mystery Series?
I have a website, and it's margaretmizushima.com. That's MargaretMizushima.com. And you can find out all about the books there. And Gathering Mist is really, it can be found at any bookseller, either an online bookseller. If you have a favorite indie bookseller or a Barnes & Noble that you like to go to, if it's not on the shelf, you can always ask for it. So the books are available for pre-order now. Then I'm also on Facebook, Margaret Mizushima author, and I'm on X as at Marg Mizu and Instagram Marg Mizu. So hopefully you guys can join me there. I'm always talking about the books and what's happening in my life.
And we love it. And I love it since you moved up to Washington. I also have to tell you, I don't think I commented. The cover of this book is so beautiful. I mean, so amazing. It's very inviting. It's kind of like walking into you could tell you're walking into some sort of mystery, just the way this mist is on here, and it's very lush looking. The greenery, it's really interesting with Maddie and Robo out there. So it's a beautiful cover. I just wanted to let you know that.
Oh, thank you. I love this cover. I was so glad that it fit this book. Of course, I kind of wrote it to fit this book. So
well, you did a good job. It worked out very well for you. And Margaret, I want to thank you so much for being our guest and coming back and sharing another one of your installments. And of course, it's the recent release, Gathering Mist, with our listeners. And as I told you, Miss Olive and I love all of your books in the Timber Creek K-9 Mystery Series. And if she were with us, I am sure, as she always did, she would give you an all paws up on this latest release. And I just wanted to let you know that we are going to be featuring Gathering Mist as one of Miss Olive's favorite things in the upcoming issue of Suncoast Pet magazine, so that even more people can learn about it. I mean, it's a great book. As I said, beautiful cover, and it's a thriller that there's all sorts of twists and turns. So those of you that are out there that are looking for something very exciting, quick read, meaningful read, this is it. Margaret, I want to thank you again. And before we go, could you just share your website and your social media contact information again?
Oh, yes. And thank you for having me as a guest today. So my website is margaretmizushima.com, MargaretMizushima.com. And I'm on Facebook, author Margaret Mizushima, X as at Marg Mizu, and Instagram, Marg Mizu.
Well, I'm looking forward to the next conversation we have, which is going to be with your next book. And it sounds like it's going to be another killer. It's going to be great. So I'm looking forward to it. And I thank you so very much. Again, the name of the book is Gathering Mist, Timber Creek K-9 Mystery. And I want to thank our guest author, Margaret Mizushima. Thank you so much, Margaret. This has been great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll be back in just a moment.
Begging to hear more of your favorite show? Full episodes of all our shows are available on demand. Go to PetLifeRadio.com to fetch our entire lineup of Possum Pet podcasts. Also, dig us up in iHeartRadio and iTunes. Let's talk pets. Live and on demand, only from Pet Life Radio.
We would like to thank our guests this week. And also, as our Doggy Divas always say, please love your pets because they love you unconditionally. And please remember to adopt, foster, spay, neuter, and microchip. And as always, please have a great Diva week, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Doggy Diva Show. To find out more about Susan Marie and the Doggy Divas, visit them at their website, thedoggydiva.com, and on Facebook at The Doggy Diva Show. Tell your fellow pet parents about it. We look forward to having you join us again for the next episode. See you soon.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.